Trump and J.D. Vance are making their pitch on the economy to voters in two critical states. And Tim Walz is holding his first solo event.
But noticeably absent, the Democrat nominee herself. She not on the trail. Mike Emanuel is on the trail. He has more. Mike.
Todd, Carly, good morning to you. The locations these campaigns are targeting are not a surprise. Former President Trump's expected to travel from Florida to Asheville, North Carolina today. His running mate, J.D. Vance, will speak to a rally in battleground Michigan in Byron Center in the southwest region of Grand Rapids. Today's focus for the former president will be, of course, on the economy.
But with all of that being said, the election's coming up and the people want to hear about the economy and the fact that they can't buy groceries because they don't have enough money to buy groceries. We're going to reduce taxes further. I gave the largest tax cuts, and we were going to reduce taxes still further for middle-income people, not only businesses. We set a record. We did more deregulation and more restrictions on all of the different businesses than any other president.
On the other side, Harris's running mate Tim Walz did his first solo event in front of a union audience.
You turn elections. You turn lives. You negotiate contracts. You press legislatures to do the right thing. We know how to do this. We've got 84 days to take control of our own destiny. 84 damn days. And I've said this, you hear me say this. That's easy. We'll sleep when we're dead. We'll do the work now. We'll do the work now.
Harris has no public events today, and her campaign has taken some heat for her limited activity.
Guess what day it is? Woo-hoo! Big Trump, 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 Trump. Guess what? Trump, 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 Trump just won't give up. Guess what? Guess what? Kamala is writing fake articles and lying that look like news headlines while Trump keeps them crying. Guess what? Guess what? Tim Walz is riding a horse that looks way too happy to be ridden on this glorious day. Guess what, guess what, guess what? Everything will be okay. Guess what day it is? It's hump day. Get it on, hump day. Hump day.
Tim Walz is riding a horse that looks way too happy to be riding. Come on, boys. Oh, it's the hump day memes. We are going to have themed memes for the show. Oh, baby. We got quite a show for you today, Wednesday, August 14th, 2024. Kamala Harris campaign caught promoting fake articles, fake images, fake supporters, fake polls. It's all fake. But there's a trick to it, and it's extremely dark, and it's extremely dangerous to our democracy. Media finally take interest in Hunter Biden after Joe is thrown into the trash compactor. Will it matter? Doubt it. Mike Benz joins the show to talk about all of the major issues happening concurrently right now and how it's all designed. We're going to talk about fake Kamala Harris today. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, there is crazy topsy-turvy economic news that is happening. It seems by the day there's either a stock market crash or there's some type of brand new inflation news. As of this morning, inflation has gone down 2.9%. Really? Thanks for those numbers. Does that change the price of gas? Inflation's down to 2.9%. That's what you've seen all across. It's a huge win for Kamala. It's great. Communists are always so good with their economies. Does it help you at the grocery store? Are your groceries less? Hey, Kamala, are my groceries less? No, they're not. It's worse. It's worse than it's ever been. It is insane out there, and people can barely get by. So don't trust the numbers. Don't trust the fake polls, the fake images, the fake support, or the fake economic numbers. It's all designed to trick you. You know what's not going to trick you? Gold, precious metals, investing in something that's real. investing in an actual commodity. And as the world spirals into chaos, it is commodities that, well, you know what, rise in value because all of the fake stuff goes away. Okay, weak men, hard times, right? Gold, ladies and gentlemen. My friends at Allegiance Gold can protect you. ProtectWithBenny.com today. 844-66-BENNY. Right now, get $5,000 in free silver with a qualifying purchase. ProtectWithBenny.com today. ProtectWithBenny.com today. Okay, so we have launched something new on YouTube. The reason why is that, one, YouTube continues to YouTube wants us as a page to create something called memberships. And so we've launched that, but also, we have the Benny Brigade here. People keep asking us how they can support our page. We get super chats. You guys are incredibly generous supporting our work. We launched memberships. So pop them up. You can see here, we're building out, you get like a little emoji by your name. We're building out bronze, silver, and gold salt shakers. We're going to be layering this all with Tank. This will appear by your avatar. I know the chat goes nuts. We're going to have custom emojis as well that will be really, really fun. That'll all be meme-based. Right now we have President Trump with his fist up in the air, and we have Trump's mugshot. And we're going to have a bunch of, I don't know if you guys can see here, but we're making it right now. So we're gonna have screaming lib. We're gonna have gold salt shakers. We're like designing this right now. We have the yes Chad meme, okay, and we're really excited about this. It looks like Jerry's made a hump day camel one just for today. So if people keep asking, you know the way that I approach this kind of stuff. If you wish to support the channel and our work here, then we are so thankful for that because we want to do more work. We're gonna go to the DNC this week. We're going to go to the DNC on Sunday. We're going to have something called the Benny Bunker at the DNC. We're going to talk to the Trump kids there. We're going to be in the Trump Tower at the DNC. We're going to go troll the DNC. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you wish to support our work here, then we just say thank you. Here's some of the custom emojis. You sign up for a membership today. And again, you know what I always say here, ladies and gentlemen, which is I know what it's like to be completely dead broke. So I completely understand you just supporting the channel, watching and chatting is an amazing blessing to us. So we just say thank you to all of it. But this is YouTube. The YouTube memberships are now open and live and customizable. And so if the chat wants to roll with brand new emojis and icons by your name, we got custom salt shakers and we're going to have custom tanks in there. Tanks and salt shakers. Salt and salt tanks. Okay. The salty soldiers, we call them inside of the Benny Brigade. So that is real, that is real and that is live right now. But what is not real is Kamala Harris's campaign. What do I mean by that? Kamala Harris is running a fake campaign. She's running a campaign not built on the authenticity that President Trump has based his run on. Trump just being Trump. You may say, I don't like some of the things Donald Trump says, or sometimes Trump puts his foot in his mouth or whatever. Okay, you know what? At least he's being the guy. At least he is what he says he is. Kamala Harris is the most manufactured, centrally planned, centrally organized, completely run by apparently Barack Obama, according to recent articles. And her support is also totally and completely manufactured, and we can prove it. Okay? We can prove it. There's a big scandal this weekend about them using AI images. Did they use AI images? Well, let's talk about what we know right now. Because you've seen Kamala Harris, you're going to see suppression polls. You're going to see polls saying Kamala Harris is about to win. We had a conversation with Jeremy from the quartering about this yesterday. Kamala Harris is going to win. Black pills. The only chance they have here, because they know that she is yoked to the most failed, miserable, and unpopular presidency in American history. The only chance they have is to pump that sugar into the veins, to run those ads as fast and as hard as possible, pump those ads into the, into the minds of low information voters, and then to run on vibes. That's it. Vibes. Now, to prove to you that Kamala Harris is running a fake campaign, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to some activists, some people who are paid to talk online. And we're going to show you exactly how those people are being approached by the DNC and the Kamala Harris campaign to try and purchase their voices. Because unlike President Trump, talking with Elon Musk for 2 hours, dancing with Aiden Ross, Trump team not paying a penny to any influencers or any endorsements, Kamala Harris's campaign is trying to shell out hundreds of millions for endorsements. Let's just begin with some of the basics here, okay? Some like Gen Z chicks on TikTok.
Your For You page right now is presidential stuff and the campaigns being AI and what to believe and what not to believe. Just the other day, I received an email for a paid promotion, for me to make a video and post it on TikTok talking about the Democratic side. At the end of this email, it says, if you want to get things going, we'll send over an NDA for you to sign and we'll get started. I know a lot of people get their views and their opinions and their beliefs based off of what their favorite influencers are saying. Just know, they might have been paid to say the things they're saying.
They might have been paid. Well, interesting. Benny, just one clip of one basic bee in her Range Rover doesn't mean that this is happening all across the internet. Idiot. Right?
Got a very interesting email. So for those of you who don't know, I am a critic of the current economy. And recently I've been posting my thoughts on the economy. And, obviously it's not good. I'm not saying it's Trump's fault. I'm not saying it's Biden's fault. I'm not saying it's anyone's fault. But obviously Biden is president and the economy sucks. So, naturally the blame lies on him. And some of these videos of me being extremely critical of the government have gone so viral that I was literally featured at 7 p.m. on primetime on Fox News the other night. And this morning I got an email from someone claiming to be from the Democratic Party. And they said, what would your rate be to post positive videos about Joe Biden? And I replied back, honestly, I know nothing about the economy. I don't pretend to know anything about the economy. And I know nothing about politics, and I'd rather stay out of it. After all, I'm just a normal guy. I'm not a politician. I'm not a conservative or a liberal talking point. I'm just a normal person. So they responded back, we understand you're not a fan of the Democrat Party right now. How much would it cost? I was like, you know what? I wonder how bad they want me to post this. 50 grand. And they said yes. For those of you that don't know anything about social media, I have another account that's massive. And for brand deals on my 3 million follower account, I get 5 grand. They offer me 50 grand for a video on this account with only 400,000 followers? I'm not gonna lie, I was very, very tempted, but I didn't do it.
50 grand for this dude. 50 grand for this guy. You got the basic Gen Z girl influencer. Okay, what, Benny, you can't just say that they're paying for all of their support with just 2 videos. Well, what about the reports that Kamala Harris is offering $500,000 for her to go on some of the more popular streamers? Again, now that was something that we heard about 2 weeks ago. That Kamala Harris was offering up to 500 grand to go on some of the larger streaming shows. We have a pretty big streaming show. Kamala, you're welcome to come on for free anytime. We'd be happy to have a chat. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to speak to Kamala Harris at the DNC. Stay tuned. But what about some of the, some of the biggest streamers on earth? There's a guy named Kai Cenat, who is, without question, one of the biggest streamers in the world. And he shocked his fans a couple days ago saying this.
House in New York. Then on top of that, I got the fucking Secret Service calling me 5 times, nigga! I don't know goddamn shit about politics, my nigga. I don't know nothing.
Sorry for the cursing there. We just wanted to kind of do it live today, but this is the content of the internet, right? We're all adults here. This is the energy that is being put out there by some of the streamers saying, why is the Secret Service obviously he's very upset about this. Why does the Secret Service keep coming to my door to demand that Kamala Harris come into my U-Haul truck? This is what they want. They want to shove Kamala into this dude's U-Haul truck. Bro's broadcasting from the back of a U-Haul driving around New York City. Okay, it's like one of his things. And the Secret Service is like, please, can we shove Kamala into your truck? And I'm like, what about stopping bullets from going into Donald Trump's head? And they're like, well, I don't have time for that. We don't have time for that. We got to make sure Kamala is cool with kids. Video after video after video. What about these guys lying? Benny, what if they're lying? Maybe they're just doing this for clout. You don't have any corporate media news on Kamala literally begging on hands and knees for support online, right?
Protect Our Care, a progressive advocacy group that relies on anonymous donors. She made a video warning about Trump's second-term agenda.
They almost help you script it, right?
Right, like, definitely. She takes their talking points and puts them into her own voice, saying she always discloses when she's being paid.
What's your rate?
So a video just for a creator in my size, an average can go from $3,000 to $10,000 depending and upwards.
Okay, Betty. All right, Betty. You know what? This is how some of these people make a living. All right? They're just talking to influencers. The Democrat Party, yes, the Democrat Party is paying for all of their support online. They are begging the biggest people who aren't even involved in politics to say something nice about Biden or Kamala. Yes, they're groveling. They're like shoving money in every account. Yes, it's all astroturfed, okay? But they're just doing it for like guys with financial pages or big time streamers. They would never like pay OnlyFans chicks to push Planned Parenthood and Kamala, right? They would never do that.
TikTok, like the spring semester of my senior year, and I was like, fuck, I finally have to start applying for law school. And then like, you know, female privilege, life is so easy for a, you know, woman. Obviously, I lucked out. I'm just kidding. I lucked out. And then, you know, TikTok was basically full time for me. I think I was taking ads by the time I graduated college from like the Biden administration and Planned Parenthood and like dating apps and stuff. So it was like fully financially, you know, sustaining
So you were
me.
getting, the Biden administration was buying ads from you?
Yeah, I was doing full on political propaganda.
Oh, okay. So the OnlyFans girls are doing full on political propaganda for the DNC. And you're going to come for me? You're going to come after me and say that this campaign isn't fake? I have days of these videos. Days of these videos. We even have the rap sheet here. Check this out. We have like the image of what they send to these influencers. You can see what they ask. Don't like the point, the goal of this. Let's go ahead and read this together. The goal of this campaign is to make Trump look like a bad man. This is what we're going to do. We're going to target 18 to 24-year-old voters, and we're going to remind them what the Trump presidency looks like. Make sure that you call Trump a racist, it says. Do a TikTok video. Don't. Here are in the don'ts. I love this. Don't show funny Trump videos or moments. Trump's so cool. Don't show cool Trump. Please, please. Stop showing kick-ass Trump. Whatever you do. Do mean things about Trump. Got it? It's all fake. Okay? It's fake. Now, we did want to bring up one quick thing about the Kamala AI. All right? Kamala AI and the events. Because this is really important. So Kamala does have fake support. She does pay influencers to do like stupid videos for her and say stupid things about, like, look at this.
I'm never quick to praise a white man, but Tim Walz, I like that Caucasian man.
I hate white people, but I like Tim Walz. What? Oh, okay. Yeah, that so authentic. Really, so authentic. Definitely the white guy you're gonna like is the guy that all the horses are running as quickly as possible away from in the field. I like that guy. I like that guy running through the horse pasture with a bucket, like chasing as fast as he can, like the Budweiser Clydesdales as they like scream and run for the hills. God, I like that guy. I just like him. There's something about him, right? There's just something about him. The way the horses are jumping over the fences, trying to get away. It's so special. I don't like whites, but I like Tim Walz. It's fake. It's fake. There's so much fake about the campaign. There was a report. Why don't we put up the image? There's a report of Kamala Harris having a fake image. Yeah, that's not it. Kamala Harris having a fake image that she shared of her plane recently.
Citizen has now resorted to using AI images to try to act like people support Kamala Harris. This was his recent tweet. Hope, dedication, patriotism. That's the Kamala Harris campaign. Kamala Harris campaign also seems to be AI generated. This is not a real picture. Let's take a closer look. First of all, none of their phones are recording the same shit. This dude looks like he's watching a video on the hub. I have no clue what this person's watching. This dude is apparently zoomed in on two people having a conversation. Not to mention, AI still has trouble doing hands. Because if this is a real hand, something is broken. Not to mention, this person is filming that person's phone, apparently. This person is watching a video with captions. This person thinks the sky is really important. But this is very obviously not real. Do you understand how shitty your candidate has to be to resort to using AI? The worst part is this isn't even the first time we've caught them doing this. But in Harry's defense, this is the first time he's done it. This is the first time he's used.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this went viral this weekend about AI, about Kamala Harris and AI. By the way, there was a new AI that was just released this morning on Twitter, and we asked it to make a photo of Donald Trump meeting, well, us. And here's what it created. It created create a photo of Benny Johnson and ALX with Elon Musk. This is what AI this is what AI thinks about us. This is what the new AI thinks Benny Johnson and Elon Musk and ALX. Here's another fun one. Generate an image of Donald Trump shaking Benny Johnson's hand. So I am a 6-year-old black man. I'm a 6-year-old black person. No, this is just an image of every single time, Kamala Harris travels south of the Mason-Dixon line. Ladies and gentlemen, we have problems with AI. The reason I show you that is I just want to reinforce that there is a fake campaign being run by Kamala Harris. That crowd image, though, is a real image. There are ways to criticize this, and President Trump posted this, but that's a real image because we follow all of these events. We follow all of the conversations that are being had and the campaign rallies. This image is actually real. There are people who literally live and can be programmed through the propaganda. This is why Kamala Harris is doing no interviews. The moment they let her talk, they know the wheels come off. There are people who can be programmed just by ads that they see. And those people, they have very smooth brains. Those are the people that they need. So it's important to have real talking points. We did want to just touch on this. People were saying that there was no reflection of the crowd and the fuselage of the plane. But you can go back and find videos. You can go back and find videos of this. This I still don't have any real explanation for. But you can go back and find images of a large crowd for Kamala Harris. So how do you attack these things? One, they're designed to blackmail you. So first off, look at this stuff from that perspective, right? Two, there is fake Kamala Harris campaign. You know that because we have all the images and videos of everyone saying that they're trying to pay us. They're begging to pay us money for our support, to create fake support. Two, a lot of these big events, you get these huge buses. People, their jobs depend on it. These are union members that get bussed in and get a pack of cigarettes and a free chicken sandwich, and they get fired if they don't show up. That is well reported and well documented. The rally in Vegas had people from LA that were coming on buses. Where are these buses from? We don't know because the rallies aren't open to us. You can't go and say, hey, me as an American, I'd like to attend your political rally. Nope. It's staged. And what do I mean by that? These rallies are created completely off of invite-only lists that the Democrats have. And so you actually have no idea who is actually there, who are at these rallies. I'm not arguing that these images are necessarily fake, although there are funny images of them blacking out entire sections of the stadiums that they fill so that the cameras don't see that part of the stadium. Whatever. These are centrally planned, centrally organized, manufactured off a list. How do they have a list like this? Obama's team has lists like this of people to activate. And now that they have a candidate that clicks into the intersectional hierarchy of a new the chip getting removed from the NPC's brain, right? Plug in, you get like the nice fusion of Obama and Hillary Clinton into Kamala. Just don't let her open her mouth. Forget what happened over the last 4 years. And then pump the universe filled with fake support and fake ads. And that's the goal for the next 85 days. That's the goal. That's the goal. And so that's what's going to happen. Now, we're already seeing the fake ads play. This morning, is breaking news that the campaign is editing news headlines and running them as ads from news publishers, rewriting the headlines to like slobber even more on Kamala Harris. Is this legal? These are interesting questions. It's completely fake, though. It's not real. Watch.
Meanwhile, the new report accusing the Harris campaign of rewriting news headlines in Google ads. I don't know if you're hearing this for the first time, but they did it to make it look like Kamala's policies are getting glowing write-up from major news organizations.
She's already getting favorable coverage, and they had to edit it even more. Mike Emanuel joins us live with more on this. Hey, Mike.
Lawrence Ainsley, Brian, Steve, good morning. Axios reports Vice President Harris's campaign has been editing news headlines and descriptions within Google search ads. According to Axios, it makes it look like news outlets like CBS News, Reuters, and other major publishers are on her side. The Guardian telling Axios, quote, while we understand why an organization might wish to align itself with the Guardian's trusted brand, we need to ensure it is being used appropriately and with our permission. We will be reaching out to Google for more information about this practice.
Looking forward to the European Union commissioners to send angry letters to Google to say you're pushing harmful information. We're going to talk with Mike Benz about that in just a second. Even CNN's getting a little pissed about this. CNN yesterday took this Kamala Harris spokesperson, who's also, this is how great it is. The Kamala Harris spokesperson is also a CNN contributor. It doesn't get better than that. Remember this, Jen Psaki was still acting White House press secretary when she had signed a contract with MSNBC. 3 months, she acted as a press secretary with a signed contract for MSNBC. She had it. Where'd my paper go? I like having paper. Throw it all around. And somebody took all my paper. Probably because I throw it too many times during the show. They took my paper from me. All right. She has a signed contract. I'm a Post-it note. Here we go. Signed contract. Probably is the size of the contract. Jen Psaki, she was press secretary. It's amazing. CNN talking to their colleague about Kamala Harris being the spokesperson for Kamala Harris. Hey, so Kamala has nothing on her schedule. Can she do an interview? Nope. Watch.
What's on the vice president's schedule today?
Well, she's traveling and talking to voters and getting her message out there to the American people, something that she's been doing from the very start of this campaign and something that she certainly did when she was President Biden's running mate as vice president. But look, you just mentioned the speech she's going to be giving in
that's right. I was asking about today, and I don't think she's got any campaign events on the schedule today, does she?
Well, she and Governor Walz have been traveling across the country. They hit nearly every battleground state last week. On the campaign trail, they raised $36 million within the first 24 hours of Governor Walz joining the ticket. And what she's going to be doing Friday is taking her economic message directly to the voters in North Carolina. She's going to be taking that message out to voters, and I look forward to seeing more of what she's going to say on Friday.
I think we all do, and I'll ask you more about that in just a second. The reason I was asking about today is because it seems like she has time, if she wanted, to do an interview with a member of the media or do a news conference, correct? There does appear to be that time if she wanted.
Well, look, she has said on the campaign trail that she would be doing an interview at some point. She said that, I think, last week during a rope line or when she was talking to
She said she'd be doing an interview at some point, says the spokesperson. This is why Elon Musk called Kamala Harris an NPC. In a second, we're going to be joined by Elon Musk's favorite person on the internet, Mike Benz, who can explain all of this and who's been really calling all of this from 1,000 yards away, what we were about to see. Mike Benz has been so right about this, but Elon Musk, somebody who's taken a transatlantic flank attack, remember, the European Union threatened Elon Musk if he interviewed Trump. So this is amazing. This is amazing. So if you interview Trump, the European Union threatens to shut you down. The blob deep state threatens to shut down your entire platform. If you interview Trump, then that's a crime. Kamala Harris doing 0 interviews, that's to be applauded. That's to be applauded. That shows real restraint. This is why Elon Musk calls her an NPC. Go.
We're having a great conversation right now. Kamala wouldn't have this conversation. She can't because she's not smart. She's not a smart person, by the way. She can't have this conversation. And Biden, we don't even have to talk about it. I mean, he couldn't have this conversation. He would have given up on the first half of a question. He would have walked out. He would have said, "Where am I? Where am I going?" So anyway, but no, he wouldn't have this.
That's true.
Not a lot of people would have this conversation, but we cover a lot of territory. But the beauty is that we can have a conversation, and I'm able to get it out because I get treated unfairly.
This is a really big point. You can actually have a conversation with you.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
And you can't have a conversation with Biden or Kamala. It's like it's not possible.
That's true.
This is like talking to an NPC.
No.
So it's just impossible.
Well, but think of it. We need a man or person who's unbelievably sharp in order to stop all the nuclear danger and all the dangers that I'm talking about.
Like an NPC. She's like an NPC. Just one final interesting thing. When you see all these ads, they're going to spend billions of dollars on ads. Kamala's going to do no media. They're going to try and completely run a Manchurian candidate here. The California sheriff that Kamala used in a campaign ad, he's coming out and saying, "Don't use me in the ad. I don't support Harris." California sheriff used a Kamala Harris ad, doesn't endorse Harris, who did nothing to halt border crossing or the cartels. Stop using me in an ad. These people, all these influencers are like, "I don't want your money." All these streamers are like, "I don't want your money." And the people in Kamala ads are like, "Stop using me. You don't have the right to my likeness." It's amazing. Jeremy from The Quartering actually yesterday said he's going to sue the Kamala campaign because they clipped, get me that tweet. They clipped our show. Give me that tweet. They clipped our show and clipped Jeremy and Kamala HQ, which watches this show. Hi NPCs. Hi, hope you're all in your meds this morning because Mike Benz is going to join. It's not going to be fun. Hope you all have your yoga pants and your soy lattes ready. They clipped Jeremy. They watch this show every day. They clipped Jeremy and they put it up. And Jeremy lost it. He's like, you don't have the right to use my image, my likeness. Anyway, really fun. So just saying hi to our haters or our people who love us. I'm not gonna say lovers. But here's Kamala HQ clipping the show yesterday. We also had our show was pinned to the top of Mark Hamill's page. I didn't know that. So, thanks, Luke Soy Walker. Give me the Jeremy response. Jeremy, come on, boy. Jeremy saying, I don't give Kamala Harris the right to use my likeness in a tweet. Will they get Mike Benz today? We'll see. Mike Benz, ladies and gentlemen, coming in hot right now. No, too slow. We'll put up a Jeremy tweet later. Mike Benz coming in hot. It's your boy. Let's go. Mike, what's up, man? You're going to have to, I know that you, after this hit, you're going to have to tweet at Kamala Harris HQ. You don't have the right to use my image. Or maybe you'll like it. I'm not sure.
We'll see. How you doing, Benny?
All right. So, this has been a wild week for you. This must be one of those weeks where it's like, the prophecy was foretold. You have this long Gandalf beard. You have this staff, okay? And you're standing on the mountainside. And you're like, the prophecy has been foretold. And it was you for years screaming, at the people about everything from the letter to Elon Musk to the fake campaign that's currently being run for Kamala Harris. that's being completely, the entire architecture, all of it is designed around her never speaking to anybody. And it's all manufactured. It's all fake. And you've been saying this structure exists, right? I think it's the Tucker Carlson interview that really like finally broke in. But you've been screaming from the mountainside, like the structure exists. And this week the prophecy was foretold and fulfilled.
It's so funny. I've been playing Vindicated by Dashboard Confessional on my speaker system all week. That's exactly it. I mean, the fact is I'm actually glad that this happened, and especially in the way that it did, so sloppily, so ham-fistedly. You know, typically at the end of, you know, the climax of the movie, when the villain takes the mask off, it's like this big reveal with scary music. But this was like just so inartfully done that it was like they were playing the wrong soundtrack. It was clown music, and it was couldn't quite get the mask off right. And he was, ended up even getting slapped down by the EU higher body itself. And so, but the fact is the story of censorship in the United States is a transatlantic story. We are, people in the nationalist, populist, America First movement tend to see the world from an American homeland eyes view, where we care about the crime on our streets. We care about whether or not the trains run on time, and groceries are affordable. And we don't think about as much as perhaps we should about the wider world out there and some of the forces that we are up against and disrupting by simply lobbying for an America First domestic and foreign policy. And one of those involves, basically awareness of the larger systems and agreements and network connections that are in place between our government and foreign governments, and in particular that which stretches across NATO between us and Europe. And so, this letter from the EU, we can get into the guts of it, but effectively, this is the boomerang technique that we've talked about many times before, which is, there's two ways that the national security state can kill you. The first way is with a knife, and that's and the predicate for doing that is called counterintelligence. They say, well, the CIA is not allowed to spy on Americans. The CIA is not allowed to entrap Americans. The Pentagon is not allowed to spy on Americans or entrap Americans. The State Department is not allowed to spy on Americans or go after Americans or set up operations. The NGO blob funded by USAID is not allowed to do so. But all of that gets end run by slipping a little word in front of intelligence, and that's the word counterintelligence. And this is like Russiagate, for example, is a classic example of this, which is they say, well, we're not allowed to spy on Americans or run operations against Americans unless we think a foreign country is spying on those Americans or running operations on those Americans, so we can run operations on those Americans to counter the foreign operations on those Americans. And so that's how they can knife you at home through the Justice Department. But if they can't do that, the more direct, simple, ham-fisted Russiagate method, they have a separate weapon, besides the knife. In their other pocket, they've got the boomerang. And the boomerang is, they sharpen the blade of it and they throw it out to another country who's got the jurisdiction to take you out. And in this case, it's been Europe and the EU, and they've been doing this boomerang censorship operation for 8 years now. And, there's a whole history there that's available on my X feed at Mike Ben Cyber, but we can get into it. But I guess that's my opening salvo.
So when you see, is it Terry Benton? Terry Benton? When you see this letter, let's pop up the letter. When you see the letter go out, what's your initial reaction? Because if you guys are unfamiliar with sort of the drama of this week, in response to Elon Musk interviewing President Trump, the European Union commissar sends out this letter saying, if you do this, we'll take X offline in the European Union. It has a third of your user base. We'll take X off. We will punish you for interviewing an American presidential candidate because we not because any laws or crimes, but because we don't like what the presidential candidate has to say. Mike, how can America remain in NATO? How could we remain in a partnership with these people as they are election meddling overtly and doing so in a way that obviously threatens American entrepreneurs and some of our great geniuses like Elon Musk?
Well, your first question, what was my initial reaction to it? And I was surprised that this hadn't happened 2 years ago, or 4 months ago, there's nothing about the letter that surprised me. It was really only the timing of it being so sloppy and so politically ineffective. I mean, there was no way they were going to cancel the interview, but I think they were riding high on the the godlike Orwellian censor powers that the UK has acquired in just a few short weeks under Keir Starmer. And I think the pressure from the Metropolitan Police Department to arrest and extradite Elon Musk, the sympathetic support in British media from The Guardian and other outlets, I think that there was this feeling of, hey, now's the time where we can really politically get away with it. But nothing about that was surprising, because this has been the plan all along. But in terms of the NATO question,
it's been the plan all along to extradite Elon Musk for thought crimes.
I mean, I published 2.5 years ago a piece. This is before Elon acquired X, but after he had already signed the purchase deal. There was that 4-month interstitial period between April and October, and I predicted that these rule of law pretexts would be invoked to force these changes through legally, and specifically cited the EU as the main vassal for doing that. The EU Digital Services Act. I said transatlantic flank attack 1.0 is how we got here, and transatlantic flank attack 2.0 is what they're doing now with the EU Digital Services Act. But in this case, because it was so sloppily done, and because it sort of went through channels it probably shouldn't have in terms of how they usually do these operations, it actually does open up the NATO question in a very interesting way, which is that right now Trump is under a lot of fire at home as well as internationally for flirtations around reducing America's role in NATO, especially if other countries don't meet their commitments. But here you now have something that is flying right smack dab in the face of the First Amendment. This is not simply a live and let live. Other countries don't have a First Amendment. We do. These are now formal threats to arrest heads of captains of industry in the United States to effectively nationalize core U.S. businesses. Again, Twitter, since 2006, has been an instrument of U.S. statecraft. You had the State Department making personal phone calls to Jack Dorsey in 2009, for example, to postpone Twitter maintenance because the CIA was running an operation to back the opposition party against Ahmadinejad, and they were using Twitter to do it. And the State Department spent hundreds of millions of dollars training rebel groups all around the world to use Twitter to improve their brand. Every major USAID funded, State Department funded, National Endowment funded cutout or NGO or civil society organization is trained to and actively uses Twitter to promote itself. In fact, we were told the golden age of the internet was when Twitter set off democracy revolutions all over the Middle East and North Africa during the Arab Spring. And so for a foreign country to come in and just take that from us and arrest the CEO, and to do this is the sort of thing normally there would be diplomats and CIA back channels dropping out of helicopters on the on the foreign country's embassy to, shall we say, strongly persuade them not to move forward with this and to maybe pay some sort of restitution for even threatening it. But you have heard this deafening silence from the U.S. State Department. You've heard nothing from the White House press office on this, and that's because they're in on it. They have been salivating for 8 years over the idea that if Europe moves first, it will force the United States tech companies to censor Donald Trump and to censor populist opposition, including from their left. They also dislike folks like the Gray Zone and whatnot, who are anti-NATO or anti-empire for predominantly left-wing reasons. But the fact is this long-range plan is now sort of coming to a head. And another thing that I'll point folks back to is, my foundation, FFO, broke a story almost a year ago where 5 of the most significant U.S. censorship industry activists, operatives, were on a Zoom call talking about how they would be panicked over the 2024 election if they didn't have a secret weapon up their sleeve, which was the EU Digital Services Act, which once it came into effect would force Elon Musk to rehire the fired censors. That is, this is United States censors bragging and salivating that they would get their U.S. censorship jobs back because the EU would compel it for them.
So this threat of extraditing Americans to the UK for hate crimes, you're saying that this is not only centrally organized in Europe and is serious, but is also backed by the current American administration, the extradition of their own citizens and empires and leaders of industry?
Let me clarify that. I wouldn't say that the extradition and criminal penalty is. I think that is something that has become normalized as chatter because U.S. ambassadors have advocated for that so heavily in Europe. And I am confident that there are lots of informal back channels that have flirted with that concept. I'll give you great examples. Norm Eisen. I mean, you're familiar with Norm Eisen. He's the legal hatchet man behind pretty much every legal action against Trump for the past 6 years. He was the one who was rallying false electors that we're now told are a RICO, crime if you do it if you're a Republican. But if you're Norm Eisen, they let you get away with it. You can do anything. Grab them by the false electors. And so, Norm Eisen also was responsible for the he had drafted 10 articles of impeachment for Donald Trump before he was even inaugurated. He was responsible for the legal proceedings behind Russiagate and the Ukraine impeachment in 2019 and the transition integrity. I mean, it's a who's who. But how did he get his start in all of this? I mean, besides being Obama's buddy at Harvard and the White House ethics czar, he was the U.S. ambassador to the Czech Republic. And one of the things that he brags about as being the special sauce that he applied, which was a novel technique, was using the U.S. embassy there to persuade. And again, whenever you hear the State Department convince someone, they used carrots or sticks. That is, they bribed them effectively, or they threatened them with the punishment of the United States government if they don't do it. But he got the Czech Republic to arrest opposition political candidates, from the U.S. embassy. I mean, he basically, pioneering this tactic, which is now all over Ukraine, arresting opposition politicians. It's all over Central and Eastern Europe. It's all over Europe, frankly. If they threw Marine Le Pen got hit with hate speech charges when she was running against Macron. She actually stood trial for a criminal offense for simply posting on crime statistics. Right now, as we speak, Nigel Farage is being Russiagated over the UK unrest. That is, Christopher Steele came out and said that Russia might be providing funding to Nigel Farage, who serendipitously is running on cutting UK foreign aid by 50%. And now the UK government has announced an investigation into his sources of funding. But most interestingly, I should say, relevant to today's news, is they also did this to Matteo Salvini in Italy. Matteo Salvini in Italy, was this sort of Trump of pizza land. Yeah. And he was, the NATO, absolutely hated Matteo Salvini. Italy is the third largest economy in Europe. And it's one of these fascinating true crime novels that we're watching play out right now, because they Russiagated Matteo Salvini over his planned policy to derail U.S. sanctions on Russian gas and oil. They were saying that Matteo Salvini's Nationalist Populist Party was being potentially funded by Russian energy, and that as a matter of policy, they were planning to restore the oil and gas deals that were being forced to be sanctioned effectively by the U.S. government after the Crimea annexation. Well, what did we just learn this morning? Hunter Biden, this has now just been released, literally today, it just came out that the State Department released a document showing that Hunter Biden lobbied the U.S. ambassador in Rome, in Italy, to secure business deals for Burisma. Now, we know from their own legal document internally at Hunter Biden's law firm that their intended pitch to the State Department was to sell Burisma as an alternative to Russian energy, and to sell it as a geopolitical battering ram that if pumped up, could bankrupt Russia by cutting off deal flow from Gazprom and securing it for Burisma. So Here's what I just tweeted out. It's at the top of my X timeline right now as we speak. Hey, Congress, do you care to subpoena all communications between the U.S. Embassy in Rome and the Italian government prosecutors who went after Matteo Salvini? Is it possible that after, because we know the timing works out. It was in 2018, late 2017, when the Italian government sicked its claws on Matteo Salvini over Russian energy deals. A year before that, we now know Hunter Biden was getting the U.S. ambassador to pressure the Italian government to kick deal flow to Burisma. Was Matteo Salvini prosecuted or investigated because the U.S. ambassador in Italy did what Norm Eisen did in the Czech Republic?
You're talking about this article right here. It's on the screen. Hunter Biden sought State Department help for Ukrainian company. Ukrainian company. It's so murky, Mike. You don't get too many details. How would you rewrite this headline? You've been talking about the Burisma gas diplomacy for a long time. Can you unpack this? And also, how remarkable is it to see this splashed across the front page of the New York Times today, Junior? Today.
Well, the timing of it is very interesting. You almost have to wonder if there's continuing bitterness between the Biden and Kamala Harris camps, and that they're basically sweeping up the dust remnants in order to settle the battle, once and for all. Kind of a Highlander. There can only be one, sort of thing playing out right now, because you can print this if your life depended on it for the past 6 years, but now you have Nancy Pelosi essentially stunting on Biden, doing meet the press interviews where she's, showing the scalp of Biden and bragging. He was never that good all along. I was never really impressed with his operation. And then you have Joe Biden giving interviews saying, weeping about what Pelosi did to him, and Pelosi throwing her full force behind Harris. And so, to me, I look at this and I see they're not doing this because of all the news that's fit to print. It's because something is happening, likely, it seems to me, in the background in terms of turf wars between Biden and Harris. Now, that may be happening, at the sort of bitter personal rivalry level, or maybe happening over contests for personnel picks, which is to say that a big part of achieving intra-party peace is securing consensus over who the personnel is going to be in the various posts. It could be that Biden world people are making noise about a Kamala office unless they themselves get put in certain positions. And it could be that certain donors to Harris don't want that. And so they are now trying to pulverize and scandalize the Bidens into the ground in order to bring all the donors over without having to make concessions. So all of that is possible. But, the fact is, Ukrainian company is about as funny a joke as saying there's a Ukrainian government. Right. I mean, it's
so unpack this really quickly. What was the scam? You just weaved it together really beautifully there in Italy. It seems to be quite a little nexus point that you've put together. But in the greater 35,000 foot perspective, what was the scam here? That it seems like they might be trying to hang around Hunter's neck as he heads into his tax fraud trial in California.
Well, the thing they're trying to hang around his neck is essentially a FARA violation. That this was now sort of conveniently, Weissman, the main prosecutor, actually allowed the 5-year FARA statute of limitations to pass before bringing the charges for an unlicensed firearm against Hunter Biden. So I'm not convinced that this new scandal is going to be wrapped into a government prosecution action. I think it's more to humiliate and to, it's sort of a similar thing that happened during the 3-week cycle when the media was trying to shove Biden out in the first place. It seemed like suddenly everyone was MAGA. The New York Times was MAGA. The Washington Post was MAGA. It was like, WTF, I love the media now, right? It's like, when did they become based? And then, that all turned off like a light switch the moment, Harris was anointed. Yes. And I suspect that this is something similar. I don't think they were trying to get Joe Biden indicted by the Justice Department. There was some innuendo that they might invoke some sort of 25th Amendment constitutional action, but that's a far cry from, someone being behind bars. That causes a lifetime of resentment, not just in the individual, but in the person's network. So I think this is basically part of a smear campaign against the Bidens to remove, the stain residue that's still on maybe weighing down Harris's rise to power as the consensus queen of the party. But I should say it's a smear campaign that is well deserved. It sticks as a smear because it's true. I mean, the fact is when I said that Burisma is as much a Ukrainian gas company as Ukraine's government is a Ukrainian government, it's because the State Department views these things as instruments of statecraft. I mean, remember, it wasn't just Hunter Biden, who at the time was the son of the vice president, but also the son of the guy who was the head of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee for 40 years. I mean, 40 years. Joe Biden, that's almost half a century, the top dog on all things foreign policy in the United States Senate. There's nobody more connected to the foreign policy blob world than Joe Biden. But it wasn't just Hunter Biden on the board. Right next to him on the board was also Cofer Black. Cofer Black spent 30 years in the CIA. He won a distinguished medal for his operations work for the CIA. And he was on the Republican side. He was Mitt Romney's Sherpa to the intelligence world, according to the Daily Beast. When Mitt Romney ran for president in 2012, it was Cofer Black who rallied the CIA and the State Department to support Mitt Romney. And if you remember, Mitt Romney even challenged Barack Obama on the debate stage to be more severe on Russia. If you remember, this is before the 2014 kerfuffle popped off and Obama snapped back. The 1980s called. They want their foreign policy back. Now, of course, when you understand that the Republicans, the Bush dynasty runs on international energy deals. So all of that money that flows through the Bushes, that flows through the Cheneys, that flows through that entire nexus relies on international energy deals, especially in Central and Eastern Europe, especially for control around the Black Sea and the Caspian, in that stretch of land that effectively runs from Germany, into Near East Asia. I'm sorry, near West Asia. And so they need a foreign policy that contorts the internal governments there to kick deals to Halliburton and ExxonMobil. By the way, Halliburton had the deals, just going back to, Dick Cheney, who was the, vice president of the United States, but he was the chairman and CEO of Halliburton. Halliburton has all of the, as all of the shale processing rights for Naftogaz, the state-owned Ukrainian gas company that Burisma feeds into. Burisma is a private sector gas company. Naftogaz is the public one. And so there's this tight relationship between the two. George Soros has been leading an IMF trade group to privatize Naftogaz and turn it over to his own portfolio companies. George Soros is also an investor in Halliburton, by the way, which is interesting. You can all look that up on Google. But the Naftogaz signed a $10 billion deal with ExxonMobil, signed a $10 billion deal with Chevron, signed a $10 billion deal with Shell from the United Kingdom. This is one of the reasons the UK has such a big interest there, as well as the Bill Browder financial networks. So the fact is if you guys remember the New York Times article that came out about 6 months ago, where it said, the day after the Crimea coup, actually it was the day after the Euromaidan, square color revolution successfully toppled the democratically elected government. Do you remember the New York Times described how the CIA parachuted in and said, look at me. I am your intelligence agency now. Yes. And basically set up the the new Ukraine government's intelligence services from the ground up. And by the way, even that was, if not an outright lie, a total deception. I mean, to to imply that the CIA just appeared the day after is a great joke at a cocktail party, but it's not news fit to print. But what I'm driving at here is Ukraine sits on $14 trillion worth of natural resources. Russia sits on $75 trillion worth of natural resources. The job of the State Department is to be a hungry hippo and gobble it all up so that the people who pay for personnel picks at the State Department and the jobs that State Department ambassadors or assistant secretaries or deputy secretaries or deputy assistant secretaries will get after they're at the State Department, so that that college of corporations and financial firms make bank drafting off the battering ram of State Department diplomacy and CIA covert action, and if necessary, military hard power. But the fact is Burisma was an instrument of statecraft for the U.S. State Department. That's the way Hunter Biden pitched it in his own documents. That's why Covert Black from the CIA was there. That's why Hunter Biden, who remember was on the chairman's advisory board of NDI, the National Democratic Institute, a CIA cutout born in a letter from the CIA director to Ronald Reagan's attorney general saying we need the CIA powers back from before the Church Committee. So we're going to stick them in a new place called the National Endowment for Democracy. Well, the NDI is the National Endowment for Democracy's DNC branch. I mean, it could go on. I mean, there's so much more here, but I feel like I'm monologuing here.
Well, you're actually dovetailing perfectly into my next question, because the last time you were on the program, Mike, you talked about how Boris Yeltsin was run as a fake candidate through CIA press, and the CIA went into Russia. And this is amazing. I didn't actually know this story. It just blew my mind. How the CIA and our intelligence infrastructure propped up a drunk and diseased Boris Yeltsin in order to run him when he was totally and completely incapacitated. You were talking about this in the terms of Joe Biden, but now it seems like that has actually been more smartly applied to Kamala Harris, who no one has seen for 25 days. 25 days. No press, no media, no answered questions, nothing. Yet she miraculously is rising in the polls based entirely on propaganda and a media infrastructure that seems to be like finely tuned into giving like the perfect message to the voters about this fake candidate. Now, you predicted that. You said that this has already been run. They already have this infrastructure. They're just going to apply it here in America in 2024 to the Democratic side. You still agree with that?
I still do. And I think that they are afraid of a Biden debate night moment. I mean, frankly, I think this is the most impactful debate in United States history. I mean, I've never seen a debate just completely end a candidate's presidency. And the fact is Kamala Harris is about as sharp, 30 years younger, 40 years younger than Biden is now. I mean, it's I don't know what's better, sort of cackling, coarse, hyena who thinks that. I mean, did you see what she said about cloud storage? I mean, she literally said that cloud storage is like because your data is stored in a cloud. It's in the air above us. I mean, this is totally disqualifying. What happens? What happens if that's live in front of the entire world watching? This is one of the reasons that she's refused to agree to a Fox News debate and only wants it, on super friendly terms. But frankly, I think they're afraid of giving her friendly interviews. I think that's why she's disappeared so much. Now, part of the issue was, I think Biden was so decrepit physically that it was uncomfortable for social media influencers and musicians and actors to project that heroic, angelic, cherubic, sort of fresh angle for him. I mean, there's only so stale a bagel can get before it just literally bounces, when you drop it. And I think the Kamala thing is if they can just kind of airbrush a photo of her like they did with Time magazine, and so just be this thing you hear about and you see, sort of Instagrammed filtered pictures of, but never really see her without makeup, shall we say, in the morning. Then that gives TikTok influencers something to project and inflate. That gives, Instagram influencers something to project. That gives the media, a picture that they can put on without you ever having to hear the marionette's mouth move.
So do you believe that the intelligence agencies and their cutouts are running the Kamala Harris campaign along with what has been reported, Barack Obama?
I think it's being done through informal channels. Yes, I think it's being back channeled. And I should note, that's what Obama is doing now. I mean, look into the Obama Foundation. It is a classic one of these. Now, I use the word CIA here being a little bit glib because there is this inextricable network around the State Department, USAID, CIA, and to some extent DOD in these things, which is that the Obama Foundation has this fellowship program where they produce these emerging leader programs who go into State Department or USAID funded NGOs. And formally, that's not classified as intelligence work because in 1983, we made a change to the way that we structure intelligence work, where we lace it through these above board public facing NGOs. But these are pawns on the chessboard of the Central Intelligence Agency. You can't just script a coup from Langley. It's not like two dudes are in a Langley lounge at CIA headquarters and like, I think we should overthrow the government of Tanzania. Okay, cool. Let's just put that in the gumball machine and okay, now the government's overthrown. No, you need assets on the ground to do it. And when the CIA looks around, well, what assets do we have to pull this off? What assets do we need to create? What instruments of statecraft can we use in this operation? They look at the entities that are capacity built to do it, and they get the State Department and USAID to capacity build those organizations. Hey, people in this country don't believe X. We need them to believe this. They aren't affiliated with this political movement. We need to get them affiliated. Okay, the State Department, we need you to fund a university system down there. We need you to fund a public health drive that's going to recruit people, when they come in for this. We need to set up 55 new independent news sites who all get National Endowment for Democracy funding, to do it. And then it's like, okay, now we have this robust chessboard in order to pull off this operation. And Obama is helping them set up that chessboard. Look at the Obama Foundation Fellowship Program. It is this international program that effectively grooms young, impressionable people from countries in geopolitical hot zones in order to run through the Yale network, to run through the USAID and NGO sphere, State Department, National Endowment for Democracy network, and then be sent back in to bring a little hope and change to countries that happens to align with the State Department agenda. That used to be called CIA covert action, but now it's called State Department public diplomacy or democracy promotion. But it's the same thing. I mean, corporate wants you to tell the difference between these two pictures.
It's the same picture. So what are the biggest hallmarks that prove to you that Kamala Harris is being centrally managed by these infrastructures and these cutouts the way they did Boris Yeltsin in Russia when he was incapacitated?
Well, it's still a little early and this is why I hedged it a little bit and why I said I think it's done informally through back channels. But I think that, for example, I said that the final signal for Biden's tolling of the bell on his presidency was going to be a letter from the intelligence community, a la a kind of Russiagate letter, because they were doing this all over the Trump campaign. Whenever the IC wants to send a message about whose side the CIA and the Pentagon and the State Department are on, they assemble a kind of squad army of recently former CIA, State Department and Pentagon officials. The guy who 6 months ago was the Undersecretary of Public Affairs at State, and now he's just in a civilian capacity. He's just telling you, hey, do this. Along with 50 other people. But, when I saw that letter, and that was less than 48 hours before Biden announced that he would drop out. So I mean, I do think that this, what I'm communicating has prescriptive value. But what I'm trying to communicate is when I see, 50 CIA, State Department, Pentagon, USAID, people all come out and say that Biden needs to step aside, and support Kamala Harris, and we're all supporting Kamala Harris, I say, well, okay, you have 50 people from across the intelligence community, including, by the way, Rosa Brooks was a signatory to that. Rosa Brooks was the head of the Transition Integrity Project, which you and I have talked about many times. That was the domestic color revolution coup simulator. She was a high-ranking Pentagon official with a CIA blue badge who literally pitched, in this coup simulator in 2020, that the Biden campaign would need to establish a back channel with Black Lives Matter to instrumentalize them as street muscle in order to be receptive to a call to take to the streets from the Biden campaign to shut down the country if in case of a clear Trump win in the election. So when I see it's that same network that is backing Kamala, and it was that same network who was stage managing, the foreign policy affairs of Joe Biden, that's one hallmark. But remember, Kamala Harris was sort of being groomed for this job from the moment she got in. If you recall, she was I think one of the first senators ever in her first term, as a junior senator, effectively, to be elevated to the Senate Intelligence Committee, the most secretive committee assignment in all of Congress. The Senate Intelligence Committee is the #1 oversight arm of the CIA. And Kamala Harris was rushed into that before she was picked as Joe Biden's vice presidential candidate. And so she's been passed around in these networks, forgive the phrase, for some time now. And but one thing that remains to be seen is, will there be personnel commitments, personnel continuity at the ODNI level and at the USAID level? Those are two things that I'm paying attention to in particular. That is, will she keep Avril Haines from as director of national intelligence, and will she keep Samantha Power as director of USAID? Because those to me are really the most symbolic picks about whether or not there's any daylight between her and Biden on foreign policy.
You said stage managed, and there's been one time since Kamala Harris staged a coup. Can we call it this? This is a soft coup. All right. So Kamala, would you define it as that, Mike? Like soft coup against Joe Biden?
I'm okay with it. I probably wouldn't use it myself just because, we saw what they did with the Transition Integrity Project thing was that was Rosa Brooks planned a color revolution. You're going to get the Biden campaign to get Black Lives Matter to act as street muscle, to take to the streets, to shut down the country and do the same RICO crime that Georgia, rolled up 19 Trump attorneys for. But this, you could maybe soft. Yeah, they pushed him out. It was an intra-party dispute. It's, and the fact is Biden still is nominally president, but I'm okay with that if you want to use it.
Okay. We don't even think he signed that letter, to be quite honest. So to tell you what our audience and where our stand is on this. Can't find Joe Biden's signature looking like that in any of the documents, but here we are.
He wouldn't remember it anyway.
Yeah, that's right. So you say it's stage managed. There's nobody who's needed more stage managing than Kamala Harris. Now, here's the clip that you were talking about.
Are you necessarily keeping those private files in some file cabinet that's locked in the basement of the house? It's on your laptop, and it's then therefore up here in this cloud that exists above us, right? It's no longer in a physical place.
It exists above us in this class. They sure can pick them, Mike. There's one time.
I remember.
To your point of stage managers, there's one time they let her talk. She's spoken exactly one time without a script, and it was when some hostages were freed from Russia, and it went like this.
This is just an extraordinary testament to the importance of having a president who understands the power of diplomacy and understands the strength that rests in understanding the significance of diplomacy and strengthening alliances. This is an incredible day.
And you can just hear the line that was given to her by the intel agents. You can hear the line that was given to her by the State Department, being butchered. And then to top it all off, Joe Biden just goes and wanders onto the plane. The hostages are over there with their families. Kamala splits the difference, and then Biden wanders up onto the empty plane. It's great. It's
Trump
great.
Really nailed it. That Trump quote where he just goes, Kamala, it's just funny, just the way she speaks. What do you mean it's funny? What did that Tucker Carlson thing? He goes, well, the way she talks, the bus goes this way and then the bus goes that way because that's just the way buses go. And it's like she does that with everything. It's like you can say absolutely nothing. I mean, you're given a buzzword phrase in a talking points memo the day before. You didn't do the homework. You're cramming for the exam. You're like, I remember there was this word. How can I just do variations on this word and then hope we can run out the clock? And that seems to be everything. I wonder what she actually does all day, frankly.
So Kamala Harris, fake campaign, being centrally managed. Is it going to work? What's your black pill or white pill here?
I'm white pilled if the election is free and fair. I think that if there's no fraud, I actually am very bullish on Trump's prospects. Which is that I think that Trump has much more support now than he did 4 years ago. I think that his campaign this season has been much more energetic, much more heroic, and has a much louder megaphone than he had in 2020. I think that he basically didn't lose anyone from 2020, and he gained entire new armadas of interest groups coming to his side. Whether that is from, the Silicon Valley camp, Elon Musk, David Sachs, Chamath, now the Winklevoss twins. You have so many disaffected foreign policy groups who are, just totally irate at what the Biden-Harris foreign policy has been. You see it, I think, reflected in culture, and frankly, you feel it walking around. Being a Trump supporter does not feel like a stigma or like a kind of scarlet letter in the way that it did in 2016, or frankly, as it did, all the way up until 2020, and even thereafter. There has been a sort of permanent calcification into a hard bone of what Trumpism represents in a way when that's more solid than when it was less defensible and it was a primordial soup and it could have been, hijacked a lot of ways. I think there's a lot of staying power now, and frankly, I don't believe polls, especially ones that oversample Democrats and that we know are done for political reasons. I vividly remember looking at the election polls in 2016 on election day. After I had had a tremendous amount of confidence Trump would win. I was betting, 50 different people on it and making predicted bets that Trump was going, even though the polls said the exact opposite, right? The New York Times had Trump at 10% and Hillary Clinton at 90%. And I think Slate or Salon, had it like 98-2 on election day. But the fact is everyone could feel what was around them, and everyone could see how skewed the polls were. Now, and I also do think that some of the size of Trump's lead may have been overstated 3 weeks, in the 3 week period when they were trying to get Biden out. I think those, they may have been oversampling Republicans in the polls that showed Trump way up over Biden in order to drive a sense of crisis into Biden's base that they need to jump ship. So, I don't believe any of it. I think all you can do is build, and then, have a diligent election integrity team in place, and then the chips will fall where they may.
Mike, there's just one question as we're closing here, but we've done a lot of work on it, and it's something I have to ask you. It's not really on topic, but it blends all the topics that we talked about here. And you're the world's expert on this, and so I just have to ask. We can get every congressman and every senator, and they come on here, and we've gone with congressman and senator to the assassination site in Butler. But my brother, you know more than these senators, and you do know more about the intricacies of how this all works than all of these congressmen. Is it conceivable that the U.S. government had some hand in nudging the live execution attempt on Donald Trump?
Of course, it's completely conceivable, and it could be done through a very simple operation. And I'll sketch it out here. And again, I think you and I have even talked about this through line between the January 6th pipe bomber, episode and the J-13 assassination attempt. Remember this. Could the federal government have a hand in planting what we were told were live pipe bomb devices at the major party governments of both the RNC headquarters building and the DNC headquarters building? Well, could the federal government have a hand in the 1993 World Trade Center bombing? Remember, was it Omar Saleh, the FBI informant in 1993, who the New York Times even printed his taped conversation with his FBI handlers when he was personally planting explosive devices in the basement of the World Trade Center, and then complained to his handlers in a recorded call after the bomb went off, saying, "I thought you were going to switch the materials out." We can go through a million examples of this, from the ISIS, the so-called ISIS attack on Garland, Texas, the first ISIS attack, which went through an entire criminal trial and 3 years of headlines. You can argue we went to war against Syria over this incident, literally put military boots on the ground, citing the precedent that ISIS had just attacked Garland, Texas. We already had thousands of troops in Syria, and we already concluded 2 criminal trials before it finally came to light through a leak from the Arizona FBI field office that the whole thing was an FBI plot the entire time. The FBI had paid an informant something like $125,000 to become the shooter's best friend, and was even texting him to, quote, tear up Texas before he did it. And not only that, the FBI had a secret unmarked car tailing the shooter on the way to the shooting and still didn't stop it. Now that none of that was known until the attempted murder trial had already concluded, and we had already declared war on Syria. So, and I could go through a million examples of this, from the Whitmer Fednapping. How could the FBI be involved in a plot to kidnap and assassinate the governor of Michigan? And and again, members of Congress, if you're listening, you need to do this. Subpoena the chain of custody for the stationary camera overlooking the park bench at the DNC headquarters. Kamala Harris was vanned over to practically squat over the pipe bomb device that the FBI has been quiet as a friggin' pin drop for 4 years now about. They've not uploaded a new video file in 3.5 years, September 2021. I watch every week. They have that camera showing the pipe bomber taking the pipe bomb out of the bag and planting it, or not planting it, interestingly, because we don't know actually, 17 hours before that device was found by Secret Service, which, remember, Kamala Harris lied about, because for the first 10 months, she said she was at the Capitol building, or everyone said that she was at the Capitol building, and it was in Justice Department indictments, and people were getting arrested for racial intimidation, for chasing around the first black female vice president elect. And that took until a year later to find out, actually, we need to redo those grand jury indictments, because Kamala Harris was actually, basically Eiffel Towering a DNC pipe bomb discovered by the Secret Service, who should have been casing it way before then. That was the park bench at the front entrance to the building, guys. This was not some secret location. I walk right by it. It's the park bench at the front entrance to the building, and it was planted on the leg there, we're told, 17 hours before. And the FBI has a tape of the pipe bomber taking it out of the bag, but they haven't shown anybody. Why do you think that might be? What if it was a different device? And by the way, what did the Secret Service do as soon as it was found out that they were the ones who found the pipe bomb, and that it was because Kamala Harris was there that day? Oh, well, they ran an emergency cell phone update that magically wiped all cell phone communications and records of the Secret Service just weeks after this story broke. Okay, it's a 1-2 punch where the Secret Service pulls it off, or makes way for the operation. They I ain't looking, let it happen in tandem with either a DHS or an FBI operation to radicalize someone to do this, or to use one of their own assets. And getting back to this situation here, I mean, I go off. There's so much here, but again, members of Congress, this is real easy. And look, the FBI, they're going to tell you we don't have it anymore. We issued an update that deleted it. The same thing they did with the cell phone. When everyone said, hey, the pipe bomber was sitting on the park bench, tapping on his cell phone, texting people. Why don't you geofence and get those communications? And then it comes out 2.5 years later. Well, actually, magically, those cell phone communications were corrupted. Very convenient. But make them say that. Make them say the dog ate my security footage. Make them say a lightning bolt struck the stationary camera. The FBI, there's a missing money shot of the pipe bomber taking the bomb out. Yes. This is exactly. Now you'll see, and there's a second camera that you'll see here too. This is just the frame rate footage, okay? Because he'll sit on the second bench when he comes back. But what you'll see is, so I believe this was the March. Okay, so actually, if you go back a second there, I'll show you. If you go back a second here, okay. I don't know, Ford. It's okay. Okay, it's fine. There's 3 pieces of footage from this site that have been released.
Yep. With the rest. We have more.
That's one of them. The other one is from a shrubbery. But what you can see is that person we're told that person took something out of the bag and walked off, and it was found 17 hours later. It was planted at 8 p.m. on January 5th and discovered at 1 p.m. the next day. Why don't they leave the camera running? Even if you just go back to that first clip you played. See how he's right there? Okay?
I think this is the one you're talking about. Yep.
Well, this one, but notice how what he takes out of the bag is occluded by a bush in this, right? If you go back to the first clip that you played.
Yep.
You'll notice he walks up to the park bench, but then the camera stops. Like that is it follows him out of frame, even though it blurs amazingly. If you zoom in, and it actually blurs this guy's eyeballs so that you can't. There's a whole separate scandal here that I can tell you about another time. But if you just pause it here for a second, okay, or just right before that box comes up, okay. That second park bench, he walks out of frame and comes back to that park bench on the other one in order to take a bomb out of the bag. We're told he takes it and plants it at the front right leg. Why the hell did the FBI stop this tape? We're told it was about 7 minutes later that he returns to these exact benches and takes the bomb out of the bag and puts it on the front leg of that park bench chair. Hey, FBI, while you're offering a $500,000 reward for any information leading to the arrest, would you mind showing us the commission of the crime? But what if it wasn't the same device?
The reports are now that the gunman Thomas Crooks hung out at the Clarion Sportsman Club, which is frequented by the Department of Homeland Security for training, and that he was training on a very specific rifle for very specific distances. And the Homeland Security, of course, is the agency that houses the Secret Service. And many are scratching their heads saying, hold on, this guy was brushing shoulders with federal agents? It seems like really curious. Maybe they knew this guy. Your thoughts, Mike? Well,
specifically, I don't know enough about the minutia of gun ranges to know if, every gun range in the area, has some sort of local police or FBI or DHS, sort of connection to it. If that's something that's a relatively, frequent thing. Sure. I would need to know more about that. And I'm actually quite interested because one of the things that's so concerning about the DHS specificity there is I have been saying since day one, practically, if certainly week one, that it would be remarkably easy to pull this off all in-house within DHS through the following mechanism. We know that January 6th was...
By this, you mean an assassination on President Trump?
Yes. Okay. Allowing a clear shot on the United States president, at a rally. We know that DHS, and specifically a division called HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, had more feds on January 6th than the FBI did. they were running something through the JTTF, the Joint Terrorism Task Force, to recruit informants in the Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys, and the Three Percenters. And there's a great tape that I've referenced many times now, a 45-minute audio that was recorded lawfully, but discreetly by a former Oath Keeper named Jeremy Brown, who was recruited by two DHS HSI, Homeland Security Investigations officers, starting about 2 months before January 6th, but then ramping up into a month before, and even called him on his personal cell phone twice the morning of January 6th. This is all, by the way, in federal documents. You can they can read all about it, and you can listen to this, and I can post on my timeline. But it was HSI actively recruiting intelligence assets within the same militias that they were targeting and surveying in order to turn against the Trump movement and to infiltrate and to participate in January 6 events. Now, HSI is an interesting sort of outfit unto itself. DHS is a little bit different than the FBI because the FBI is supposed to be the intelligence arm of the Justice Department. So everything has to run through justice. Everything has to be, approved by them. There has to be a law-breaking predicate. You have to, get all the paperwork because it has to be criminal. But DHS is not. DHS is sort of a free-roaming agency in that way. DHS is the only other intelligence agency other than the FBI, but it's not attached to the Justice Department. It can do its own thing. And it's been reported that because of the NATO summit going on that week and the Jill Biden event going on that day during the Butler rally, that there was a reduced Secret Service presence covering Donald Trump, and that they were replaced by agents from HSI.
Yes.
Now, if HSI also had representation at this gun range, that is, all it would have taken. Now, one of the things I come back to is look at the timing. Okay, not only was this shooting, this attempted assassination, the day before the RNC convention to nominate someone, so it would have been super easy doing it that way to put in a Nikki Haley, and it was 2 weeks after the SCOTUS immunity decision ended, the Justice Department's ability to kill Trump through 1,000 years in prison. But this seemed really ready to go, didn't it? The Butler rally took place 1 week, just 1 week after it was announced. And in just 1 week, this guy, 20-year-old kid, got drone surveillance, was able to, scope the place, was able to construct 3 homemade pipe bombs. God, where have I heard that before? And if you remember, the FBI was busted teaching right-wing militia people to make pipe bombs in the Gretchen Whitmer Fednapping case. The thing they were actually arrested on was attempting to purchase weapons of mass destruction, i.e. pipe bombs, that were sold to them by FBI agents. And not only that, before the FBI attempted to sell them pipe bomb materials, the FBI created a Truman Show of federal agents to come to these people's meetings and teach them how to make pipe bombs. Okay, you can't look up how to make a pipe bomb in your local library. And if you try to Google it, don't do this, because you'll meet a lot of new friends who will be really, really into
destroying your life,
edgy stuff if you do this. But if you run a Google search for how to make a pipe bomb, your life will be federally infiltrated so fast, because those are ring-fenced terms by the FBI. So the only way you can really learn to make homemade explosive devices is from someone else who knows how to make them, either from the military or a Fed. And the fact that this person, within a week, was able to scramble together not 1, not 2, 3 homemade explosive devices, in addition to the drone technology, in addition to serendipitously having all of the dominoes fall on security. We know from Josh Hawley's whistleblower, at least it's alleged, that there was supposed to be an agent on the roof, but they were told not to be there, or for some reason they wandered off because of the heat. What is that agent's name? Was that agent at the same gun range that Butler was, that Thomas Crooks was at? That would be interesting. How about the FBI counter snipers who were supposed to be stationed overlooking the roof, but magically at the same time wandered off? I mean, both of these things need to happen simultaneously for this thing to happen. But all it would, I mean, think of how easy this would be to pull off. HSI comes in and replaces Secret Service. HSI, we know they said DHS uses that gun range. Well, was it HSI agents specifically? Well, which 4 or 5 agents were they? That may lead you to an answer here, or at least something much closer to it, because all of it could have been done in-house. If a small group at HSI had advanced awareness that there was an impressionable loner who was willing to shoot the president, and then serendipitously a rally is announced within driving distance, that kid can be activated, just like the FBI did in 2015 with the Garland, Texas shooting that led us to war in Syria, where they said, tear up Texas. Could have just said, tear up Butler. And here's another thing. We're told that they can't get his communications because they were foreign encrypted accounts. Well, all it would have taken is for those same agents to say, hey, buddy, we're going to talk on Signal. We're going to talk we're going to use a foreign encrypted account. And then boom. Now the whole thing is in-house. You evade the whole Justice Department oversight. The whole thing can have their cell phone communications deleted, just like the Secret Service did on January 6th with the pipe bomber, as soon as it was discovered that they were responsible for that and failing to catch that. And I'm putting that very charitably. But it could all be done in-house because the HSI was in charge of defense, and HSI is in charge of recruiting informants. Gee, that's really, really convenient.
It just blew our mind. I mean, we've done entire documentaries. We've gone there and looked with trained snipers and security experts and some of the best tactical guys that exist in Congress, and people who have been shot at and shot back successfully. And those guys are like, there's no explanation for this. This was a kill box. This was designed in order to have the maximum 3-dimensional probability of a kill, of a fatality. And no one has been able to answer these basic questions. And when given the opportunity, they lied. And that I don't consider myself to be Mike Benz level intelligence, but when you're lying, you're covering something up. The roof was sloped. We don't know where the sniper teams were. We don't know why they left. Donald Trump didn't request more security. Those are just off the top of my head, Mike, 4 verifiable lies. So their initial response here is to lie about it. What does that tell you in human nature? That they're covering it up. They're covering something up. Something terrible. Something really dark.
This is why we need the names of the agents. Now, listen, if they can use this as a sword, they can't use it as a shield. They lionized Harry Dunn. They had no problem doxing Harry Dunn and saying Harry Dunn saved the day when he stopped January 6 people. Okay, well, we need to know the names of federal agents when they goof up. No one's threatening anything. There's not anyone who does should be arrested for intimidating a public official. But the fact is, for pure accountability, they can't just jump on this grenade at the Kim Cheadle, Director Rowe level. The fact is, we need the names of the agents who are supposed to be stationed on the roof. If Josh Hawley's whistleblower is correct, we need the names of the agents who were supposed to be in the counter sniper team from the FBI who abandoned the site to the roof. And frankly, I think there needs to be a joined investigation of J6 and J13 because these two things are so intricately connected. This joint 1-2 punch between the Secret Service and the FBI in order to evade congressional oversight or in order to evade public questions about a matter of essential national security. Who knows? You know what, Benny? Maybe Thomas Crooks was the pipe bomber. Think about this, right? Right? I mean, for all we know, for all they know, I mean, because think about this. This guy is still running around, this Osama bin Laden guy who planted live pipe bomb devices. That's what you told us, Chris Ray, right? Live pipe bomb devices at the major party headquarters of both the GOP and the DNC. And he's been on the loose for 3.5 years. You can't tell his age. You can't tell his race. You can't tell his sex. You haven't picked up a single hair follicle, despite him walking around D.C. on foot for 90 minutes. A single skin cell, despite him touching all of these different surfaces and devices. And, this guy is still out there, the Osama bin Laden of the domestic terrorism world. And we've not heard anything in 3.5 years. They've completely closed it down under the banner of an ongoing investigation, just like I mean, this is going to be a JFK thing. It's going to be, the year is going to be 2786. We're going to be an interplanetary species, and there will still be an ongoing investigation into the January 6th pipe bomber. But the fact is, it's the exact same structure here, even all the way down to the pipe bombs. So we need the names. And by the way, DHS had a very strange role in the pipe bomb stuff. Maybe a story for another time. But what I'm getting at here is when a committee gets stood up on this, it's not enough to blame the DHS directors, because this is not going to be at the DHS director level. This is not going to be an approved operation through formal channels with Kim Cheadle or Roe. This is going to be structured as a kind of rogue cell with 2 or 3 or 4 guys keeping it all in-house, and all other communications are going to be informal on encrypted chats, or done in using effectively burner phones that are not traceable to an outside group that's effectively lobbying for it. That's the way this would be structured. But the fact is we need the names of all the HSI agents who were there that day. And then we need their communications. And we need to know if they were at the same gun range as Thomas Crooks. And by the way, those gun ranges keep logs of who came that day.
Congressman Mike Waltz was on our show, who's on the task force, and he said that the person who was running all of the communications inside of their little Secret Service black box was this known DEI hire, he called her, Trump hater, who's had a problem inside of the Secret Service and had been demoted, and she was the one who was in charge of absorbing all of the communications on that day and feeding them out to the agents. And so who is that person exactly? She was out of the Pittsburgh field office. It seems like they're hopefully starting down that path, but man, they don't meet for a month. There's no urgency at all on any of this.
Well, do the dates line up? Getting back to the New York Post story about the gun range, what dates was Crooks there that DHS officers were also there? How far back does this go? Is this 6 months before? Is it a year before? Is it 2 years before? Because all of this could look fairly innocuous within DHS and Secret Service as it's happening. You are told not to be at a certain post for a totally, seemingly reasonable reason, even though it might be a little weird. That is, okay, well, this came from a higher up, but the higher up isn't necessarily read into this. And you could have a situation where they're monitoring this guy anyway. There were some reports early on that this guy had threatened to shoot up his school. One of his classmates said that. The principal denied it. But this could have been a guy they were monitoring for 3 years, like they did in the Garland, Texas event. And it could be that, this person, they were having these encrypted chats with the person, and the person was saying that, seemed to be willing to shoot the president. And they basically said, they reasoned internally, well, we'll prod this on, and, we'll stop at the last minute. And then a decision could have been made at the last minute. Well, we don't know 100% he's going to do it. And do we really need to stop it? Maybe we can stop it right after. I mean, you could see a lot of ways that this could have played out, where a lot of people halfway participating in it didn't fully know what it would manifest as.
Man. And then Joe Biden, once this fails, Joe Biden drops out right afterwards. Right afterwards. It's like, okay, next plan. It's crazy, Mike. It's why you just blew my mind, for lack of a better terminology. You blew my mind, Mike. It's crazy. All right. If you want more hot fire from Mike, go follow him on X. It's always too much to absorb, even with an hour-long interview. It's always too much. Mike's always like galaxy brain level, blowing our minds. Mike's gonna obviously come back and work for Trump, right? And turn in the second term. Oh my God.
Well, we haven't had any conversations, and we'll see. I would like to have to be able to advise whoever the president is, and and my job is simply to restore the golden age of the internet, and and all this that I talk about foreign policy and national security and all of this is sort of filtered through that lens. But I think that you need to understand the machinations of the blob. You need to understand the national security state and how it works. You need to understand some of these political black ops in order to understand what you're up against if you simply want to preserve free speech online.
Final question to you, Mike. Did you tell Elon Musk to use the Tropic Thunder meme against Thierry Breton? Against Thierry Breton. Did you send him this? It could be. Did you send him this? It could have been you. I mean, the guy even kind of looks like you. So
You know, this is so funny. You know, there's a really funny second aspect of this tweet, which Elon does not get the credit he deserves on this. But you'll see the way he phrased it. He says, "To be honest, I really wanted to respond to this Tropic Thunder meme, but I would never do something so rude and irresponsible." If you actually go into his replies, you'll see what he formally replied to the EU commissioner with was just a reply that says bonjour. Or if you click on the thing that he quote tweeted,
you gotta click on the actual post.
Yeah, the thing that he quote tweeted there. Yeah. If you scroll down, it's one more spot. You see that?
Bonjour.
So it's like here's my formal diplomacy is like, hello. Here's my informal diplomacy.
More of the go F your own face energy, and I think that will win. I honestly, it's amazing. You called it a clown show, and and it's been botched. I mean, it really has. This is backfiring horribly. I think they're covering their own asses, but it's all backfiring. It's glorious. It'll be even more glorious, Mike, when you're advising the 47th president of the United States. And so
yes, and there's much more fight on this, by the way. You know, just because it was slapped down, this thing is moving 1,000 miles an hour beneath the surface.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, get locked in. Follow Mike and make sure that we all have the largest voices possible to fight for you. It's Mike Benz, ladies and gentlemen. See you, buddy.
Mike. See ya.
Godspeed. You know what? Why not? You know what? Why not? We said it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's have longer form. I mean, do you like this? Let me know in the comment section. Like we track obviously this kind of stuff, but I like these longer form conversations. You can have Mike on for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you know, for the typical interview, and it's like you can barely get an idea out because what he's talking about is so complex, and the interworking gears are so complicated that it's hard to actually get it done in that amount of time. So I like these longer form conversations. Maybe we start like a different channel, you know, just to have these, and they don't like fit in with the morning show. But either way, like this is I think that this is like a more in-depth and more fruitful way to talk about things like the Donald Trump assassination and how that could have been run by an agency here in stateside. Why not? That's nuts. Him talking about the bombs that the gunman had, Thomas Crooks. How did this 20-year-old like loner, acne-faced goofball have the capacity to do all of this stuff by himself? Nobody's answered that question. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Why not? Why not? Great times, exciting times, and Mike Benz is just one of those people that just kind of locks it in, and you learn so much. It's like sitting back. I mean, I learn as much as anybody, just sitting here being like, wow, geez, really? Wow. That's what Burisma was all about? The entire operation was just like a cutout for our intelligence agencies to like to secretly fight a war with Russia? It's so cool, man. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the job of this program, right? Like the point of this program, we do it live, and we're gonna do a lot more. We have the DNC coming up. It's gonna be an amazing week. We have a lot of fun little trolls that we're going to be doing, and a lot of big things to announce. So we're excited about it, and we're excited also about just like going there. With you and having the power of this channel and the power of this audience and carrying it with us, just like we did with the RNC. And so, yeah, when we go to the DNC, we'll be powered by Patriot Mobile as ever. We're gonna make sure that we obviously are going there with a lot of cameras, and some of them quite small and mobile. Make sure, ladies and gentlemen, that you are using a mobile phone carrier that cares about you and that carries us and this programming through a lot of very interesting times. PatriotMobile.com/Benny. Call 972-PATRIOT right now. A free month with the offer code Benny. PatriotMobile.com/Benny. Takes you there. Keeps you from being totally and completely woke. And I'm not sure if Mike Benz can tell you that you're not going to be monitored by our intel agencies on the devices. I guess that's a question for another day. Either way, Patriot Mobile, our dear friends. Thank you, dear friends. We have finished out some of the new emojis for the Benny Johnson members on YouTube. So here we go. So it's a salty boy. Salty boys get their salt shakers, okay, when you sign up. And for the amount of time that you stay a member on the channel, you get the different levels of salt shakers, and then different levels of tanks all the way up to the golden and American flag tank and American flag salt shakers. Here are some of the exciting memes that we are putting as custom emojis to be used as well. And we will grow that list, but you can see plenty of soy jacks, Joe Biden memes. We have a lot of really fun AIs. My favorite is the Donald Trump. Can somebody in the chat use a Donald Trump? Can somebody who's a member please use a Donald Trump? I want to put that up. Put it up. If you are a member, I saw like people becoming members. It's really awesome. We just freaking love all of you. If you can put that up, and then show me that, and then producers, I want you to put it up. Put the comment up. Oh, is it using as the, do we have Donald Trump? There it is. Donald Trump, fight. There they are. Amazing. Robbie, there is a way to actually just put the comment up on screen, right? Or is it not? Does it not work? Oh, it's not working in StreamYard. Got it. Okay. All right. We use a streaming service here, ladies and gentlemen. So we say thank you, ladies and gentlemen, to the new members. This is just freaking awesome. And, it's just a way that we're going to be able to deliver for our audience. We're here for you guys, and we're like so thankful that you guys are here for us. Look at these Donald Trump fight. The only channel on the internet with Donald Trump fight fists. The only channel on the internet. How fun will these be when Trump has another press conference tomorrow? Last Trump press conference was legendary. Trump's doing another press conference tomorrow. So we say thank you to our new members. Donald Trump doing another press conference tomorrow. And we're going to be live, of course, for that. We're going to be live for all of these exciting moments. We'll be there for you. Thank you all for being there for us. I just wanted to show all of you these. We're going to have the best memes and the best emojis on the internet. We just want to say thank you to all of you. I'm going through the list right now for the new members. Amy Adams O'Donnell, thank you. God bless you. And Linda Lou. Linda Lou who? That's right. Thank you, Rick. 50 memberships. Goodness. It's brand new. YouTube said do it. People love it. And so and also we get a lot of people that ask, how do we support your channel? We get super chats and things, and we're just appreciative. I'm not good at hyping this kind of stuff. And I know what it's like to be dead broke. I spent most of my life completely dead broke, and Joe Biden sucks, and Kamala Harris sucks at running this economy. And so if you're just watching, we just also say you're blessed. We thank you. We thank you so much. If you just watch and sub to the channel, we just say thank you. It's extremely humbling. We do have 85 days before the election. We have some things that we're going to lock in. We have some major announcements. It's going to be exciting. We will be bringing Trump on the stream. We will be bringing JD Vance on the stream. All of this stuff is in flow. But imagine how exciting it's going to be with Trump, JD Vance live on the stream with our new Trump fist in the air emojis that you can use as a member to the channel. Come on. We'll do the entire Aiden Ross, everyone was doing W's. No, we can do Trump fists in the air and mugshot emojis. It's going to be amazing. Okay, it's gonna be amazing. What you got?
Trump just cast his vote in the primary.
Donald Trump just voted for himself. Okay, let's put her up. Here we go. Breaking news here, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Trump just voted in the primary for himself, I assume. This would be for the state of Florida.
Have crowds that nobody's ever seen before, and we continue to have that. We have a level of enthusiasm that nobody's seen before. They want to make America great again. That's what's happening. We're going to make it great again. Right now, we have a failing nation. We're in a failing nation, and become in many ways a third world nation, and we're not going to let that happen. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, also many people yesterday have asked about how my son is doing, how my boy is doing. This is if you're eagle-eyed, you may have noticed all of the. I can't let him out of my arms now since we spent the weekend in the hospital. You might see some of the schmutz on my shirt. This is Theodore's avocado from this morning. Theodore is doing great out of the hospital. This is Theodore from last night. Eating himself a chocolate chip cookie. So Theodore with a chocolate chip cookie, healthy, happy, and your prayers are more meaningful than anything. More meaningful than anything. It's the prayers that got us actually through all this, and so that it's more valuable than. We love all of you, but you know that I'm just a simple Christian, and I believe it's either God's real or he's not. Either God's real or he's not. Okay, so either God is all powerful and can perform miracles and does, or he's not, and there's nothing, and life is meaningless, and we're all meaningless. It's all an accident, and it's a joke, a big fat joke. Okay, and I don't believe that. I do believe that your life has meaning, that you have meaning, that my children have meaning, that this nation has meaning, and that there is a creator and a design to all of this mathematically, gloriously, and universally. And so I believe in that. I believe in that power. I do. And so the outpouring has been amazing. I saw the post. Did you put the post up? I saw the post was up. Can we scroll down just a quick second? I want to show you guys something remarkable here really quick. I just posted this, and a lot of people were encouraged by it, and that's a blessing. But can you continue to scroll? A shout out to my wife, and then a shout out to the doctor here. This is the doctor that saved my son. So his name's John Perpich, and he's a doctor that saved my kid. And he hadn't been active on X in like years. His last post was like from 2020, and then this got him thousands of followers. And you can see here he's he's gaining a lot of followers. And then you scroll down to the replies. If you go up to the top, please, right there, and then click replies on his profile. He's just getting a ton of love. He's a good doctor. This is a good man, and all these people are jumping in. We have a positive movement here. But like this doctor saved my son, and he worked so excruciatingly hard to do so, and he didn't have to. Right? Doctors can just give up, and they do give up all the time. I'm not dogging on anyone, but this man went over and above and followed through on his calling, and he's thanking God for it. What a wonderful thing. If you want to be encouraged here, we have a doctor that actually thanks God. Instead of like claiming that he is God, like some of these little technocrats, like a Dr. Fauci would, Dr. John Perpich is like thanking God for this moment. And man, we agree with him. So it's really neat, like a really neat, very kinetic, very dynamic moment that's happening right here. That's very special. And we're here to share positive energy with you and sort of like positive feelings, and not black pill people, and not be a doomer show, right? Talk about important things like what we did with Mike, but then to also like uplift and encourage. Like this is really important to be uplifting, encouraging. And so this guy's this doctor's getting all his love now on the internet because he's like a good, like what a tribute to his profession. What a triumph to his profession. Like honestly, what a tribute the guy is, thanking God and then just being the good doctor. So it's a special moment. It really is a special moment. We're thrilled to share it with you. We consider you our family, and this movement is our family, and what we're building here is our family. And just like with my kids, is important to uplift. We uplift every day with our verse of the day from Psalms 103. Praise the Lord, my soul, and forget not his benefits, who forgives all your sins and heals all your diseases. The benefits of faith in the Lord. Don't forget it. Don't forget it. I won't forget it. We have the little vial of the crayon that doctor got out of the far left bronchi of my son, a place where nothing ever goes. It's just such a freak accident. It's just such a freak thing that happened. We have that. We're not going to forget it. We're going to frame it. We're going to put it on the wall. We're going to put it in a shadow box. It's like it'll be like a Crusader like archive. We're going to use it as like just a testament, like a literal miracle that happened in our family. So that's how we're gonna that's how we're gonna remember. The verse says, "Do not forget his benefits." No, we won't forget. Forgives your sins and he heals your diseases. He heals our nation. He heals our country, and all God asks for is that we remain faithful. So remain faithful, march upright, stand upright. With me, we do the show standing, so we remain upright and march forward because we have the victory. It's your boy Benny. See ya.
The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest kings, and their dying legacy, media deal weeds. Soon will the Benny Show come to mind. The salt from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun. We sail for #1. Show come to mind. The salt from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun. We sail for #1. The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest king.